Hello, everybody. This is John Campbell. I'm here today to talk about molecular hydrogen as a catalyst to revolutionize modern medicine. I'm going to do that because it's a pretty bold statement. I'm going to do that by covering the science behind the miracle molecule, which is not what I'm calling it, but what scientists are calling it. I hope y'all enjoy the presentation, and let's jump right into it. One little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I've done a lot of research on molecular hydrogen. My most trusted research resources were Google Scholar and US government's PubMed. Now, Google and Google Scholar are both search engines developed by Google, but they serve very different purposes. Google searches the entire web, which is full of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and misinformation from competitors. Google Scholar focuses on scholarly literature. It's mainly made for scientists to report to other scientists in the medical community as well. So, the point of this slide is that I have a page on Facebook called the Miracle Molecule Mentor. And everything that I'm going to talk about, every slide on here, every link in this presentation today is on that page. And so if you see something you want to go back and take a look at it again, just go to facebook.com/, Miracle Molecule Mentor. If you have a question about something, you're always welcome to send me an email, miraclemoleculementor@gmail.com. And so we come to molecular hydrogen, something else that's as old as the universe, but which we haven't understood up until just a few years ago. We thought it was an inert element. We did not understand the value of it until in 2009. Dr. Otai over in Japan discovered the therapeutic benefits of molecular hydrogen. And since then, there's just been a slew of studies, uh, altogether over 3,000 animal studies and now 300 plus human studies going on in laboratories around the world. 99% of the time, they're reporting these miraculous results in treating 8 out of 10 of the major human diseases that we deal with. Everything from simple inflammation to obesity to cancer. Um, and we're going to talk more about that as we get into the science of it, but we don't hardly know about it here in the US. It's still a new idea that this molecular hydrogen simple little molecule can do so much for the human body. Of course, we're a little bit behind the curve here in America. Over in Japan, Korea, over in China, these molecular hydrogen machines, different devices that will deliver molecular hydrogen to you, are in widespread use, and they've been sold there for decades as medical devices approved by the Japanese Ministry of Health. It's not uncommon for patients in Japanese hospitals to receive molecular hydrogen treatments, and and stroke ambulances uh, that are handling heart attack victims are all equipped with H2 devices now because somebody in the process of having a heart attack, their life could be saved by feeding them molecular hydrogen. A lot of people in Japan and a lot of places in Japan support hydrogen therapy as both an anti-aging treatment and as a beauty treatment. So there's beauty shops all over the place that will put molecular hydrogen foam all over you and molecular hydrogen masks on your face and will help you stay young and beautiful through the use of molecular hydrogen. It's just, the machines are probably in most homes there, the ERW machines, and they are the Japanese know all about it. Widespread usage, we don't know about it yet. They do. They're ahead of the curve. We're behind it. So this is one of the links you'll find on my site. This is Dr. LeBaron, who is the foremost authority on molecular hydrogen in the world, even at his young age. He's a PhD who started college studying molecular hydrogen, graduated with a PhD wrapped around molecular hydrogen, and 6 years ago he was in Japan and on this podcast talking about all the different ways the Japanese are using molecular hydrogen. And I guess what's most interesting about that is 6 years ago, there was already so much going on. If you go look at that video today, you're going to see that they were all the way already far ahead of us. But today, so much more going on. Back then, they were just thinking about putting it in ambulances. Today, it's in all of the ambulances because it's proven to help people survive heart attacks. So, I first started researching molecular hydrogen 4 years ago. I on Google Scholar, of course. Back then, there were maybe 50 animal studies that I looked at, and scientists were already calling it the resuscitation molecule because what they were finding was so compelling. And in fact, I thought it was so compelling anyway that I went and bought one of the Kangen K molecular hydrogen generators for myself. Today, 3,000 animal, 300 human studies worldwide, more all the time, and scientists have taken to calling it the miracle molecule. And you can look at just one little excerpt from one page of 3,000 reports and look at it talking about spinal cord damage in rats and how molecular hydrogen helps heal that, how it helps with Alzheimer's disease, and how it helps regenerate skin and burn wounds. That's just a few out of the 3,000 studies that scientists have been conducting in the labs that have shown positive results for being treated for all sorts of conditions with molecular hydrogen. I used to write a newsletter for Dell called Servers Are Easy. It was meant to demystify the enterprise backbone. And it worked well for our busy reps because I would couch very technical terms in common language, and I would summarize them in ways that the salespeople could understand. And that newsletter went worldwide and was translated into different languages and won awards at Dell. So when I started thinking about trying to disseminate all of these really complex scientific studies so that people could understand them and see the value of all the research going on, I decided to use the same format as Servers Are Easy, and I created the Miracle Molecule Mentor and worked to summarize, um, pages of deep scientific research in more common language and try to put together uh, posts that would be, which I post almost every day on that site, try to put together posts that would be easily consumed. Here's one with an Alzheimer's study where they basically fed mice different types of water for 7 months. They had three control groups. The first one didn't have Alzheimer's. The second one had Alzheimer's and was fed tap water, and the third one was fed hydrogen rich water. Now this went on for 7 months. They ran them through the maze regularly, and at the end of the time, they ran them one last time. As you could see, the control group knew exactly where to go. Uh, the the group that had been drinking tap water for 7 months had no idea where to go. They I mean, it looks like a child's crayon scroll. It's just sad. Uh, they went all over the maze and eventually just happened on the food. The ones that were drinking the hydrogen rich water, in contrast, went, they made one mistake. They've still got Alzheimer's, but then they went right to the food. Their brains were working much better than the mice that had been drinking tap water. And that value looks fairly obvious if you look at the slide. If you read the report, you have to wade through a huge amount of scientific jargon to get to that same conclusion. So maybe the most interesting thing about these reports of molecular hydrogen fighting diseases that were on Google Scholar and now are all over Google Scholar is how those reports have changed over the years. When I first looked 4 years ago, there was it was still being called the resuscitation molecule. They were watching it, reduce tumors and heal cancers and get rid of aging cells, and reporting back on that. Today, the reports are focused on very specific effects of molecular hydrogen, so they come a long ways in understanding it, and they can report back on on how it helps with the side effects of chemotherapy and in general enhances the quality of those uh, treatments. Uh, they know that it and have verified that it helps both acute inflammation and chronic inflammation, which is underlying much of human disease. They also know that elderly patients are more sensitive to H2 therapy uh, because their systems just aren't functioning as well, and so the molecular hydrogen tends to have more significant intervention effects uh, once you get older than it does when you're younger, such as for Alzheimer's disease. So I spent several months recently um, deep diving into molecular hydrogen, and I'll tell you why. My stepdaughter got here. She's very successful Kangen salesperson, and she sold my neighbor a machine. And before my neighbor actually got it, I really wanted to dig in and make sure that that the research was progressing. Of course, I found all of these incredible things on Google Scholar and got so excited about it that I decided that I was going to get certified. And so I went to the Molecular Hydrogen Institute and took a course from Dr. Tyler LeBaron and obtained my level one certification. The level two courses just came out, and I'm diving into those right now. And so I'll be level two certified here shortly. So the classes were tough. The final test was brutal. I swear I answered 500 questions that day that jumped all over the place, testing my memory and how well I understood the material. But it's a college level course, so you have to expect it would be tough. What was most interesting to me about these courses that Dr. LeBaron came up with is that the first half of them were just based on the general science of chemistry and how things work and how scientists work to understand uh, and are focused always on disproving rather than proving things. So it's how well a particular hypothesis resists being torn down by all the experiments meant to disprove it that allows it to eventually become a theory. And once you've done that thousands of times, you finally get to be considered a law. This is probably reality. Of course, they're always ready, just like with the JWST telescope. You would think that if the Big Bang is not true, that it would freak scientists out. No, they're already hungrily digging into what the universe really looks like. Did we come from a black hole? Where is it coming? Where is it going? How many universes are probably out there? And it's all fresh material for them to study because science, as Dr. LeBaron says, is not about proving things; it's about disproving things. So the basic science, uh, there was a lot of things in there that were very useful to understand that I had never really gotten before. The second half of the lessons were really all about molecular hydrogen, though, and I got not only the science of molecular hydrogen, but I got a lot of practical advice. Like, let's say you want to take molecular hydrogen tablets. Well, when you take them, there's a lot of drawbacks to them, and the course laid out exactly what those are. So I wasn't guessing, which is a lot of what happens out there. There's so much fun out on the internet nowadays that you really don't know what's real and what's not. Well, the course laid out exactly what was real and what was not for me, and that was one of its very valuable things that it did amongst many. So, what is MHI? Uh, the Molecular Hydrogen Institute is a tax exempt nonprofit that is leading hydrogen research. In fact, they put together about last November. They put together a huge consortium online for all the leading scientists in the world to come report back on what they're finding about molecular hydrogen. Which, considering that there's no big pharma money coordinating everything, all of those diverse studies being drawn into one place so that they could disseminate the information more effectively amongst each other and to the public was a huge benefit for this institute to do. It was a lot of work for them and a huge benefit for us. And it was the brainchild of Dr. Tyler LeBaron, who I mentioned previously and who we're going to talk about a little bit more right now. So the Molecular Hydrogen Institute and the courses that I took are the brainchild of Dr. Tyler LeBaron, and the courses were all written by him. He is by many people called a genius, even at his young age. And if you watch him speak, you will see the genius in action. I like to think of him as an optimized human being. I mean, here's a guy that's been studying molecular hydrogen since his early college days, has been taking it for a decade, knows how to take molecular hydrogen properly to get the benefits out of it, and has been using that to not only bring his brain into, an optimal state, but to bring his body into an optimal state as well. I believe he's the state arm wrestling championship. He's an athlete who loves to run. I think he was just very close to one of the best times in the Boston Marathon. Here he's running the Vegas Towerthon, and he was first place, which is pretty cool. The people that were behind him started about 10 minutes and a half and go up from there with a few second intervals. He at first place was 2 minutes ahead, almost 2 minutes ahead of his nearest competitor. And that's why I think of him as an optimized human being, somebody who's just far ahead of other people, an Olympic athlete, quality body and mind, operating at optimal specs. Thank you. Here's Dr. LeBaron during the COVID crisis talking about how molecular hydrogen can help COVID patients, and in fact, you see him digging into the science of it on the slide there, and that's typically he's not easy to follow. He is he'll I say he'll science any question and will give you absolutely solid, good, very technical information on any aspect of molecular hydrogen, including here how it affects how it helps with COVID. And the interesting thing about this, even if you don't follow all of the science, is to go look at that video and see the first few minutes where they're talking. They brought a video camera into hospital rooms and they're talking to COVID patients about how molecular hydrogen has affected their disease. And they're all talking about the instant relief that it's given them and how it's helped with coughs and helped them to bear with what back then was an unknown disease. So interesting video if you don't do anything more than just look at the first few minutes. Dr. LeBaron is the preeminent advocate for molecular hydrogen around the world. And one reason is because he's willing to talk about molecular hydrogen with anyone. If you got a product to sell and you want to bring him on, he's happy to come on. He will not support your product, but he will talk about the science of molecular hydrogen with you. And his videos are always interesting because he's so smart and so knowledgeable. Uh, in the second video down, he's talking with the guy that discovered the therapeutic value of molecular hydrogen, which was Dr. Otah, way back in 2017. I don't know if y'all know about Dr. McCullough, but he's a very well respected man who sells a lot of products. He was interviewing Dr. LeBaron back about 11 months ago, and then again about 10 months ago. So he had him on twice to talk about molecular hydrogen as the most powerful antioxidant that you've never heard of. In fact, Dr. McCullough says it's the very best thing that you can take for your health, more than vitamin C, more than anything else. At the bottom, I just like this one. This is Dr. LeBaron, and the title of it is talking about the miracle molecule. I didn't steal the name. It's in widespread use out there, so I leveraged that for my Facebook page. But all the scientists in the world, the consensus is that it is a miracle molecule. On his LinkedIn profile, Dr. LeBaron is asked about when molecular hydrogen will be accepted by the masses here in the U.S. And he says, look, historically, seatbelts, the dangers of smoking, medical breakthroughs, accepting those things takes decades to get society to understand that something's bad for us is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Considering that molecular hydrogen research really began in 2007, he believes that it's gaining acceptance faster than most breakthroughs. And he predicted by 2017 influencers would start to embrace it. He was right about that. He sees 2027 as the year that's going to ignite broader awareness of molecular hydrogen across the United States. And he thinks it's going to take another 10 years before everybody really knows about it. But someday it's going to be considered a cornerstone of healthcare. It'll affect the entire $5 trillion a year healthcare industry one day, just like it's already doing in the Asian countries. I barely scratched the surface of this miracle molecule, but if I've gotten your interest, I highly recommend that you go follow and like, if you can, the Miracle Molecule Mentor on Facebook. I post nearly every day, and I'm always posting the science, which is much broader and more interesting than I've been able to give you in this few minutes today. Here's a post from July 14th where I'm talking about molecular hydrogen's flexibility, and so it can work for the body and it can work against the body where needed to improve the homeostasis to keep the body in balance. And that flexibility has earned it the name of a redox adaptogen in scientific literature, which is again much more powerful than a simple little molecule like this uh, should be, but there it is, right? And so every day I have something new and interesting to post about this miracle molecule. So a neighbor of mine who bought a machine, Kangen K machine, was asking me. She does a lot of support for the elderly community, and she wanted something very simple for them to to understand how to get the therapeutic benefits out of molecular hydrogen, because that's always the trick. There's plenty of ways to get it into your body, but to get it into your body on a therapeutic basis, enough parts per million of molecular hydrogen being actually absorbed into the body, that there's a little bit of work that has to be done to get it right. And so I laid it all out for everybody on my site, and did simple directions, and it, there's, as you can see, there's quite a bit to it, but it's not that difficult. You really just have to know how to take this molecule properly and what actually delivers therapeutic levels of molecular hydrogen. Here's an experiment that I did and posted on the site talking about how to store molecular hydrogen. I mean, it's keeping it therapeutic is always the trick, as I said. Stored in plastic and it's gone within a day. If you want it to stay, let's say you're leaving home and you're going on a camping trip and you'll be gone for a while, you can put it in a stainless steel container. I've got a bunch of 1 gallon double walled stainless steel containers, and it could stay for up to 8 days at therapeutic levels in that container. There's certain types of glass that'll last for a few days in, but by far the best type of container to put it in is stainless steel. And even then, you have to understand that the more often you open it, the more often you pour out of it, the more, and the temperature of it, you're going to lose molecular hydrogen accordingly. And so you can't guarantee it's going to stay therapeutic for 8 days, but this was sort of a good baseline for people to understand really how they should store it. And so here are a few more fun facts about actually getting molecular hydrogen in your body. First of all, the moment that you pour it, it begins to dissipate. Its half life in an open glass is about 2 hours. So I have a glass, a stainless steel glass that I carry around with me as I'm working here at the house, and I'm constantly drinking the water out of the glass, understanding that I want to drink the glass of water within an hour or so typically. Um, Therapeutic levels of molecular hydrogen, at least in terms of the studies, are they're finding that you have to get at least zero point 0.5 parts per million into your body at any one time to get a therapeutic benefit, and 1.6 parts per million is the saturation level. So it's not there's not a huge amount that you can get in at any one time because at one atmosphere, everything else escapes quickly. You can get up to about 1.6, and that's the maximum that you can get at any one time. Hence the pour and drink philosophy, which is what we're going to talk about next. And so I've been certified. I've looked at all of the ways of taking molecular hydrogen that are available here in the United States. Haven't found molecular hydrogen foam yet, but it'll come out eventually. I will probably be using it to see what it does for me. But after everything that I've studied, I still believe that the machine that I bought a few years ago, the K that I bought, is still the most effective way to absorb molecular hydrogen on a regular and ongoing basis. First of all, the gut is the most efficient way to absorb the hydrogen. And if you want to build a good habit around keeping your body at saturation levels of molecular hydrogen, or at least somewhere close to that, nothing's easier to build good habits around than a simple pour and drink methodology. And the K8 is, by wide consensus, the most proven, efficient, reliable saturation level molecular hydrogen ERW system on the planet. Look, this is for your health. So why would you look at anything other than the best? The K8 is made by Enagic. It has 8 medical grade platinum plates producing the molecular hydrogen and a powerful transformer that reliably separates the molecular hydrogen from ordinary tap water. Enagic is the only OEM manufacturer of ERW systems. That means they have complete control over the manufacturing process, and the International Standards Organization has been in there, and they've earned numerous certifications from that high quality organization, or that proof of quality organization, that other systems don't have. Uh, Beyond that, I mean, they've been around for 50 years. They've got 3 million people that have bought their Kangen machines worldwide, and as you're looking at and considering a device that will get molecular hydrogen into your system reliably over time, I want you to remember we're not talking about a water filter. We're talking about a medical device that has been approved for and used in Japanese hospitals for decades. There are other ways to absorb molecular hydrogen. For one, there's pills that you can take. They taste bad. Uh, if you don't do them at exactly the right time, if the pill's dissolving in water, it's heating up all of that, and the pill itself gets very hot as it's dissolving. If you don't let it dissolve completely, it can burn your throat, and then as soon as it finishes, it's going to start escaping from the glass. So that one is, I mean, I've tried the pills myself. I think I bought a bottle of 60 and I've used like 4 of them. The other part of that really should be considered is that that's a forever option, right? You're going to pay several dollars a day forever to be taking those pills, and it's very limited hydration. You're putting in a small glass of water, and my sister got the pills to start with. She's already tired of them, but I think she would take them maybe twice a day, and that's about all she could stand. Um, the inhalation devices that have been around for a long time are a bit trickier, and the absorption is not as widespread through your body. ERW water, electrolyzed reduced water, can be up to 100 times more effective, according to scientists. And of course, the got you with inhalation, and that I want to stop there. it really depends on what you're treating your body for. If it's a lung issue, it may be more effective to be inhaling the gas. So I want to be cautious about that. Either way, there's zero hydration involved, and I think that molecular hydrogen stands on two legs. One is the value of the molecular hydrogen itself, and two is the value of constant hydration. Hydrogen baths. I've got a hydrogen bath. I take a bath every morning. It's limited to skin absorption, and you probably aren't going to use it more than once a day. And of course, you don't drink your bath water, so there's zero hydration there. But it's not a bad way to absorb molecular hydrogen in general. Last but not least are the little water bottles. That's more of a get what you pay for gotcha. Molecular hydrogen production is really iffy with those. The proton exchange membranes that those work under or work with are they have a tendency to clog. And the other gotcha to those is that they have to percolate every time you use one. So you got to wait at least 5 minutes for that molecular hydrogen to be generated before you can drink that water. And then you have to drink it fast because it is escaping. It is limited hydration. That's not so bad, but it's still a little bit limited on the hydration. Ultimately, it is, again, you get what you pay for. It's probably, you can get one, you can try it. It's probably not going to last very long for you. Before we go, I want to tell you a story. uh, Dr. Michael's daughter was born inside out. Her organs were on the outside of her body. She spent months in the hospital, and when she finally went home, keeping her hydrated proved to be their biggest ongoing challenge. So, Dr. Michael went through 9 different ERW, electrolytes reduced water devices, before he found Kangen. And that was the first machine that kept his daughter out of the hospital. So, he became a huge Kangen advocate. In this particular video, he takes apart all the competition, and as he shows you the quality of those machines, the condition of their plates, the mold inside the machines, he makes a better case for Kangen than I ever could. Go listen to the doctor talk if you get a chance, and you will understand why you're buying the Rolls Royce of electrolyzed reduced water products.